Hey everyone, so what's up? It's me, it's Levi. Um, so today I want to talk about mental health. And look, I know I'm back in my unkempt appearance and whatnot. It doesn't matter all that much. I don't expect this video to go viral, really. I've stopped trying to play the YouTube algorithm. But hey, if it do, I don't get mad. I ain't mad, you know? But I want to go through a video that I saw that I thought was particularly interesting from Sargon of Akkad. And, this is a guy that he's been in my sphere of influence, I guess, for a while. Haven't been paying much attention to him recently, but this idea of the modern dystopia that he's talking about is something that has kind of come up in my mind a lot in recent years as well. And I feel like it really needs to be talked about. So we're going to respond to a little bit of what he has to say about the dystopia. The title of this video is We Are Already in the Dystopia. So let's see what there
always
is.
be this way because, as far as anyone could remember, it had always been this way. However, now people do not feel as if the streets are safe.
I've already seen this video in its entirety. It was a little while ago, though, so we're just going to go through some of the important parts that I kind of find here and see what good points he has to make. And I gotta say, at the end, there's something I think is a little sinister about it, but I'm going to get to that in a moment.
And this feeling appears to be validated when you consider the composition of the people on our streets and of our government's willingness to treat criminals as if they were the best of us. It's hard to believe that an actual army of murderers has been allowed to illegally enter the United States and has been given leave to remain at large indefinitely, or that the British government decided one day to simply let out criminals early because they had become an inconvenience to keep. But here we are. Did we really expect at the end of the 19th century, with the advent of the socialistic mindset of command and control over society, that it would create a depressing, unesthetic, grey plastic world of petty bureaucracy and an entire culture of zombie workers who aren't even sure why they exist?
Okay, so he moved from the well, it's a very political idea that he's bringing up about criminals being released early and being and migrating to the country and being helped with that process, basically, and then kind of shifting into the gray, boring dystopia that he's talking about. Because I don't really, when I think about it as dystopia, I don't actually think about criminals roaming the streets. That's not my idea of what he's kind of shifting into, which is this gray landscape of just nothing interesting, basically, where we all kind of hide away in our homes. And that's, to me, that's the point of the dystopia, not the criminal part. There's nothing we can do about the powers that be, at least I feel. And I'm not interested in politics. I'm not interested in changing the structure of society. But the way we respond to this dystopia, that's the challenge. It's not how do we politically respond to criminals roaming the streets. It's how do we deal with the challenges of being so isolated and alone all the time, where in America, and probably in the UK as well, which is where he's from, it has less to do with politics and more to do with interpersonal interactions, which I feel is something that's very lacking, which is why we have, and there's a factual basis for it's not just like this nostalgia for the past. It actually has a factual basis in that we've never seen this level of technology in our history before, and this level of And perhaps I'm participating in it by doing the YouTube thing, but, I guess we all are. So, how can we escape it? That's the thing. We're all in this online space and we just can't seem to get out there. He's kind of touching on that, but he's also putting in some more political stuff. So let's keep going. I want to, I can't watch the whole video, obviously, I think, but I'm gonna try to highlight some points of it.
Our cities are more like ant colonies. They are for work, and people live there like drones until they can't take it anymore and have extracted enough sap from the system to.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I've been feeling lately, which is that I kind of need to escape, and I have a plan, a goal, and I believe I'm making progress toward that goal. Um, but at the same time, it's like, why do I have to live this way, to make myself happy? There's this sort of internal struggle there with, it's a conflict of sorts. And I feel like we all have that now. We're like financing our cars so that we can afford to go to work to afford financing the car, where it just never ends. And we don't live in our homes in which we financed so we can work. We go to work so we can afford to sleep in our houses, but we're never there during the day, basically. And it's frustrating. Like I've been working overtime too, and even though I'm making financial progress, like there is this sort of desire to completely just extricate yourself from this work and this hustle culture, um, which leads to a lot of the scams that we see online. You know, which is something else that I'm going to talk about in the future. But anyway,
to be able to escape to the countryside.
not necessarily this countryside, but out of the country, perhaps. That would be even better as far as I'm concerned. Okay, now he gets to a very important point in the video, I think, which is he starts attacking therapy. And let's just watch this, and I'm gonna see how I feel about this, and what we're gonna have, because I've watched this before, and it kind of ticked me off. So just listen to what he has to say.
Life, but we never question the nature of therapy itself, which is to train people who know they are living an unnatural and unhealthy lifestyle to accept this fate and not fight against it.
Right there. I mean, that's like his whole premise is, I don't understand where he gets this idea that therapy is telling us to accept a certain fate, a certain life. Like, I feel like this is just the preconception that he has of therapy. And we're going to see, I think, more about why he does this as this goes on.
The very nature and purpose of therapy is to make sure they continue to do it anyway. But to what end? This clearly doesn't serve the person who needs the therapy. It serves something else external to them. What the hell are we doing? The purpose of our...
Once again, where does he get this idea that this is serving an external purpose? He has absolutely no basis for saying something like this. You know? Why would you discourage mental health? Or talking to people just like you're doing? Like, it could be a form of therapy, listening to you, right? And you're going to say, oh, you can't listen to a therapist, a licensed therapist, because that's just evil, and there's a hierarchy which makes it bad, right? No, not all hierarchies are bad. Which I think is something that is commonly recognized these days, especially after Jordan Peterson kind of brought it to light. Not that he's responsible for the knowledge of this kind of awareness, but yeah, it's helpful to know that.
Civilization is revealed in the way it is designed to relate to us. Let's take McDonald's as a paradigmatic example of how things have changed. When I was young, in the 80s and 90s, McDonald's buildings were inviting and revolved around families. They were bright, cartoony and often had a play park that the kids could go and enjoy. They had character, and the purpose of them was for something a family could do on a Saturday afternoon. Go and enjoy some junk food and get out of the house together for a few hours. All fast food restaurants were like this. Indeed, most public spaces either revolved around the needs of children or made some accommodation for them. To be an adult is to realize that life really isn't about you, it's about others. And that's what gives you purpose and meaning. It's what prevents you from needing therapy. That all seems natural and right, doesn't it? A civilization that is built around children is a civilization that believes it has a future. It is a civilization that is working for itself and not something else. However, a civilization built around adults, trapped in an extended state of adolescence, who expect to enjoy their adult activities.
Okay, so we get to the subject of dinks, double income, no kids, this whole trend. And once again, like, yeah, he's right. This is a dystopia that we're living in because, it's kind of just a product of the vast wealth that we've acquired in America and, places like Europe and America, basically, where we just have so much and we have everything we could ever need so that we don't feel the need to have children, for one. We don't feel the need for relationships, for friends even, I guess, so we rarely go outside. We rarely take ourselves out of our personal space, our homes, our vehicles. We're always enclosed in some kind of box, closed off from society. And this is what he's talking about, and I believe he's right about that. But he's making this point about therapy, and he's attacking it. And I just think that's so backwards, because therapy is something that we need now more than ever. Many of us anyway. I've certainly gained from it, I think. Mental health is not something to be messed with, and I think he's making very light of something that could really help a lot of people, based on his own ignorance, his own preconceived notions about therapy and what it is and what it serves and who it serves and why it does what it does. Like, it's like we're supposed to think that therapy like, that is not the point of therapy. Nobody believes that therapy is just trying to make us okay with this life. It's not about that. It's about making you okay with how you feel internally and realizing what you need to do. Just recognizing your own internal thought processes, not like accepting some sort of external situation. That is ridiculous. That is absurd. And he's peddling this like as a way of supporting the notion that we live in a dystopia. And like, overall, the message in his video is good. Like we are in a dystopia, and there is something that needs to be done about that. Avoiding therapy? Is that the solution? Like, just avoid therapy and then that's going to make you open up to the world somehow? Maybe that's not the whole solution he's proffering here, but I think you'll see the solution at the end, so I'm going to skip forward a little bit.
It's the only tool they recognize as even having the capacity to improve the world, and so they are determined to use else. And this is all the consequence of the maintenance of a system that our modern philosopher kings believe will bring us into utopia. It's the only tool they recognize as even having the capacity to improve the world, and junk food and Funko Pops until they go home to their tiny bedsit and sit alone until the next day. What is the plan here? Just exist until you die? Remain in the Soviet-style McDonald's as a consumptive unit until you expire and are composted to become the fertilizer for the other drones? What are we doing?
No, this is the point he's making that I think is really on point, and it's good. Like, this is crazy. The life that we're living and the way we just become consumers. Even the McDonald's point, like, yeah, it has changed, and many of us have noticed that. Maybe Gen Z hasn't noticed it yet, but maybe they never will. Who knows? If we tell them, will it make any difference? I don't know. Will anybody listen? Things have changed. He's right about that, and really, what is the purpose of this life? The way we live it. You cannot that. This is why I believe in something bigger than myself, and I've given my life to the Lord Jesus Christ, and I do believe that he is the only reason that I am alive today, and that any of us really exist. Because if not for something bigger than that, we're really only in this life to serve ourselves while we can. And if we are still alive and we can no longer serve some sort of idea that we have about ourselves, then why not just screw it, just go crazy or something. And that can take some very horrifying turns in a person's life if we start to believe in this irrational this atheist mindset, I guess, if you will, naturalist, where you just believe in nature, and once you are gone, there's nothing left of you. What are you serving at that point? What is the point? What is the purpose of life? There is no purpose, I believe, if we don't have something beyond just this life that we can be, that we can not look forward to, but just admire and strive toward. Because I really believe we're in this life to learn how to live. It's not like there's some specific goal that we're supposed to reach, but the lessons that we will learn come to us eventually, whether it is in this life or some other life. And I believe that there are stages in the Bible's revelation about how we're going to restore the world and live in peace with God and his kingdom, within his kingdom forever. But until then, it's not really for us to know how or when that's going to happen. But we have to have, that's why we have to have faith, Some things are beyond our comprehension. But anyway, he's getting to a point here, and it's kind of sinister.
The warmth of our civilization has been drained.
So it's
In the absence of migration, the size of the working age population declines faster than the overall population. As a result of this faster rate of decline, the amount of migration needed to prevent a decline in the working age population is larger than that for the overall population. They need workers, and as far as they're concerned, workers are basically all the same. So we can flood our countries with foreign peoples, regardless of the physical and psychic damage this does to us and our civilizations. Because otherwise, the system through which they intended to bring...
Yeah, he's making a good point there too, and having been a teacher and, being a certificated teacher, I have my teaching certificate, and I've studied this, and I know that the way they've reformed schools into sort of these factory-like buildings where you just produce workers, that's basically what we're getting at here, and why we're why the modern age is sort of developing the way it has, where we're stuck in this bubble and we become more isolated because we're being trained to be workers, to be productive for someone else. And we, not only that, but now we're bringing in lots of unquestioning and unthinking sort of drone workers who just slave away at their jobs. And like, yeah, a lot of us do that too, me included. But some of us have the capacity to see beyond this thing, and it's frightening. It really is. How do we deal with this reality? Perhaps there is a way to escape it, but still, like, is it good? Who knows? Good for you? Good for society? It's good for somebody. I know that because they've been kind of pushing this on us without our consent. Uh, just pushing us through the system where we've learned not to use our creative faculties as much, and we've just become worker drones like this. Like, the system did not just arise organically from the grassroots. Uh, we've got a serious problem with top-down structuring of the economy, of society, and just everything in our lives is getting more and more controlled these days. And it doesn't matter who you vote for, it's still going to happen. So that's where we're at.
Bring us to utopia will fail. But when we leave the managerial world of abstractions and look, we are living in it. If you would like to support me and help keep me out of the dystopia, I would like to support you too. This is why Islander magazine exists.
So now you see. Why would you need therapy if you can have Islander magazine? If you can have like this direct access to me, right? Keeping me out of the dystopia because I'm special and I will lead you out of the dystopia as well. it's this is where it gets a little bit stinky, and I don't like it. I don't like that he's doing this, that he's selling this, and he's like the whole point of the talking about the modern world and the dystopia was just to lead us to his inner circle, like so many people want to do online nowadays, just form a circle around themselves and like worship me, because I can. Like, there's something so sinister about it. It's not about money. Like, everybody can understand if somebody, forms a cult around money. Like, yeah, I get it. You want money, cool. Like, leave me out of it though, But this guy, he's attacking the very structure of society. In some ways, he's right, but in some ways, he's also promoting the wrong solutions. He's saying, don't seek help with your mental issues. Don't try to work through the past and try to understand who you are and where you came from. Don't try to understand your goals, your future. Don't try to feel or develop a sense of identity for yourself. No, because all of that is basically just keeping you trapped in the system. If you go to therapy, you're just going to become another robot, and it's going to take away your emotions. Like, really? Like, this is so irresponsible. It's not just wrong, and it's not just incorrect and sad that he's doing this. It's irresponsible, and he's doing a disservice to society by making a right point about it and then suggesting that we don't address it within ourselves, that instead you don't need society and you don't need yourself. You really just need my magazine. That's all, right? So he's I don't understand this because I've agreed with many things that he's been saying for years. And not that I've been following him lately, but I knew about him and I knew that, and I agreed with some of his views, but he's getting to this point where it's taking a darker turn. That's sad to see, but it's also just it's not good. And I believe he needs to be educated on what mental health and therapy really is. Cognitive behavioral therapy, which basically teaches you about your own thought processes and how you can redirect them, not to serve some other, external master, but to serve yourself, because your emotions are all you have to guide your experiences in the world. And the more you learn about that, about what makes you feel a certain way and how you can redirect it, the better. That is your toolbox for life. And he's trying to say, no, the only tool you need is a subscription to Islander magazine. It's so disappointing, like, yeah, I can't even express, what I'm thinking about right now, because it's just, he's gone off the deep end here. He's jumped the shark. I'm sorry to say. Not that I'm not into the whole sphere that, like, the manosphere. Like, not that Sargon of Akkad is necessarily the manosphere, but also the conservative sphere. Like, the celebrities of the conservative movement. That's not what I'm about. And I'm, even though many of my beliefs are conservative, you could say, but I'm that's kind of my own struggle with society, is how do I present this and not be like cringy because I'm either too conservative or too liberal, because I think there's points on both sides that can be made that are valid, and I tend to support those points. And then people just form their own, they form a sort of preconceived notion just off the top of their head based on something you do or say. And it's just not fair. Like people need to learn to pay attention, I try to pay attention, and that's where it's got me. This is where it's got me. Like, listening to Sargon of Akkad, somebody whom I've admired, and now I see that there's something really wrong, and it's not like one mistake and you're done, but this is like, Sargon, you need to fix this. Somebody needs to fix this. This is not the way forward. You don't just, that's not how you do it. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this rant. But I felt like it needed to be responded to. Like, it's really vitally important that people understand mental health is not a bad thing, even in the dystopia that we live in. And it's important to recognize that there is a purpose to life. There is a purpose to your life, and you are needed. And, even if other people, may not always support you, God will always be there for you. So, praise God, just keep living, be mindful of yourself and where you are in life. And yeah, don't give up on your own mental health, certainly. And I wouldn't say, I don't think this guy Sargon of Akkad really knows everything, or as much as he's pretending, to know about how to save you with his magazine. It's kind of comical if you think about it, really. And yeah, I wish he would stop. I can't really control that. all I can do is put out these videos, and like I don't expect to be seen that much, but I think I should say something regardless because it helps me in a way as well. But it also kind of throws my 2 cents into the whole bucket of society, and that's kind of one of the good things about the internet. So I believe it does. You should, if you cannot, be this way out in public on the street, then yeah, you should offer your 2 cents online where most of the people are going to be to influence society. Not like change society, but like just offer who you are and how you think, and people can evaluate for themselves whether they want to whether they agree with you or not, basically. So I think the way he's doing this is really pushy, and we can see why now because he's actually selling something for monetary profit. So, yeah, it ruins the whole incentive structure. It really does. In the sphere of ideas, the economy of ideas, money kind of ruins everything. So that's where we're at. Yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see y'all later.